It's midday on Friday here at the UNFCCC negotiations in Copenhagen. As you can see behind, there are literally hundreds of people. There are hundreds of people all around us. The negotiations are heating up, there's no doubt. There's a bit of contention. We don't know if we're going to secure a good outcome. I've got Leela with me here, who's my fellow tracker from India. And I've brought her in today to talk a little bit about what's been going on, maybe a little about what Australia's been doing, and about the general context of the negotiations. So firstly, Leela, I was wondering if you could just fill us in with the dramas of the past 24 hours.
Okay, so the dramas have been very centric to a lobby group of 131 countries called G77 and China. So even within these 131 countries, you have various different ideologies being followed. There's differences in the level of vulnerabilities. Hence you have a group called the Small Island States who are lobbying for greater ambitions than, say, a developing countries group, which is not included in the AOSIS. So apart from the AOSIS, there will be small island developing states which are lobbying for something different. There will be LDCs, which are least developed countries, and then there's the African group as well. But because they have so many ideological differences, hence they can't come together for one stance, and countries like US and Australia will take advantage of this fact.
So today the Kyoto Protocol has been suspended, so negotiation around the Kyoto Protocol has been suspended, which is a disaster when we only have 10 negotiating days, 2 of which are being taken up by heads of state. Do you want to talk to it a little bit about why the Kyoto Protocol track has been suspended?
So the Kyoto Protocol track has been suspended because Tuvalu, which is a small island state, has said that it would want to propose that a new protocol be discussed, or the proposals for amendment to the Kyoto Protocol be discussed. So there would be 5 proposals on the table for amendment to the Kyoto Protocol, which is existing, which would be US, Japan, one is I think Australia as well, and Tuvalu and Costa Rica. And since the G77, there are differences in the G77. India and China got up and said, well, we're wasting time on this. We cannot open a new contact group to discuss this. As it is, we have 10 days left. Opening a new contact group would actually mean that we carry on these negotiations for 2 more years, considering that each proposal will be 131 pages to discuss. So they're saying we don't want to open out this new contract group right now, concentrate the negotiations and discuss all these very same things about the amendments in the KP itself. Let the KP go on and let us come to a conclusion in Copenhagen.
So Leela and I were talking just before a little about the politics between Australia and India and the G77. Can you talk a little bit about the rumours you've been hearing about Australia?
Well, recently I just ran into one of my negotiators in the team, and he sort of indicated to me, he said, you know, Australia's being a blocker. It's not really moving. I said, why isn't it moving? And then he said that Australia has been prolonging the KP track, or in the KP track, it's been making statements to prolong it, and now is actually making a statement which would translate into the KP being, given away with, and a new protocol being coming in totally. So they're literally trying to kill the KP. And for a country like India, which is extremely for the KP, and to make it sustain the Kyoto Protocol, it's extremely difficult for them to negotiate anything if the KP fails.
So this is the impression that India is getting. In terms of the Australian delegation, they of course don't tell us directly that they're trying to kill KP. We had a meeting with the Minister yesterday, Minister for Climate Change, Penny Wong. And they're certainly not making strong statements about the Kyoto Protocol, but sometimes it's very hard to figure out what they are actually negotiating, because as you probably know, so many of the negotiations at this centre, they're behind closed doors. In some senses this is a democratic process, but it's not transparent. So much of the negotiating occurs behind closed doors. Thank you very much for your time today, Leela. We really appreciate it. I'd encourage you all to keep following my blogs on A Climate for Change, watch the videos, keep up to date with all the updates. Go to A Climate for Change, take action to call our government to account and encourage them and push them to go further. Tomorrow is the 12th of December. We're going to be going on a march in Copenhagen with tens of thousands of people from the city all the way out to the convention centre. I encourage you all to participate in the Walk Against Warming in Australia. Let your voice be heard so that our government takes itself further in these negotiations and pushes for a fair, ambitious and binding treaty at Copenhagen. Thanks for watching.